Okay, so we're looking at our FRQ for 2019. This is a Phillips curve question. This is number 2 from 2019. And so what we're going to do is we're going to answer this, we're going to talk it out, and then we're going to draw the graph as well and give a few tips in the process. So number 2 says, assume the expected inflation rate for a country is 3%. And then it says assume that the current unemployment rate is 6 and the natural unemployment rate is 4%. So you see, instead of saying that the economy is currently operating above the natural rate or below the natural rate, this time they gave numbers. And so this is the thing about the Phillips curve, is that they're usually going to give numbers. And so you're going to need to know what the numbers mean and what are examples of good numbers and bad numbers when we're studying economic indicators. Unemployment rate and inflation rate are the numbers we're talking about here. So letter A says, draw a correctly labeled graph of the short and long run Phillips curve. Okay. So with our Phillips curve, we show inflation here, and we show unemployment here. We need a long run Phillips curve, LRPC, I'm going to write, and then we need a short run Phillips curve. Remember, the short run Phillips curve shows a negative slope because it's got an inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. The long run Phillips curve is a vertical curve because it shows that there's no relationship between inflation and unemployment in the long run. In the long run, unemployment will remain constant, but in the long run, inflation will go up. That's what that is telling you. So then it says, label the current short run equilibrium as point X and plot the numerical values above. So the first thing first is that they tell us the natural rate of unemployment is 4%. That goes right here. This is always going to be where we write our natural rate of unemployment. Furthermore, this is the equivalent of long run equilibrium. It's also the equivalent of full employment. It's also the equivalent of natural rate of output. The long run Phillips curve is a mirror image of the long run aggregate supply. So this spot there and this spot here they represent the exact same thing. Okay, then it says we have a current unemployment rate of 6 and an expected inflation rate of 3. Okay. All right. So that means then that what we're going to do is we're going to write point X here. We're going to dot down, slip over, and then this is going to be our 6% because we're operating above. And if the expected inflation rate is 3%, then that means that's going to go here. This is going to be the expected inflation, whereas this is going to be what's going on in the short run, what's actually happening. This would be I'm going to write A there, that would be the actual inflation rate. And so that's what you would do to pop in those numbers. And so I said that backwards. No, I did that right. We're good. And so then moving on to letter B, it says, is the actual inflation rate greater than, less than, or equal to the expected? The actual inflation rate is less than. Because equilibrium is what we call the expected inflation rate. Over here, if we were to draw the short run aggregate supplies, this is the price point right there. That's the expected price. When we see a shift of some kind, that means we have an actual change. Real means actual to a certain degree, and so that's what that means. Letter C says, assume loans were made taking into the account the expected inflation rate of 3%. Will lenders be better off or worse off after they realize the actual inflation rate in B? And then it says explain. So see, this is a Fisher formula question. So for letter C, is it? Yeah. For letter C, this is a Fisher formula question. Remember, Fisher formula tells us that nominal minus the rate of inflation equals real. And so what they're asking in this case, will lenders be better off or worse off after they realize the actual inflation rate? And so the nominal, lenders have an interest rate. So we're going to just pump in some numbers here. We'll say the nominal interest rate was 5. And we'll say the expected inflation rate was 3, right? And so that means that they would have gotten a real interest rate of 2. And using the 3 from here. So, but the actual inflation rate was less than 3. So let's call it 2 just for the sake of argument. That means this wasn't 3, it was 2. That means their real interest isn't 2. Instead, it's 3. So see, lenders are better off. Lenders are better off because now they're earning more real interest. Lenders are the money that lenders are receiving is more powerful than they expected it to be. So that's the explain. And then letter D for number 2 says, based on the relationship between the actual and expected inflation rates in Part A, what will happen to the natural rate of unemployment in the long run? Okay, that's an easy question. The natural rate of unemployment in the long run is going to stay constant. This is not something that will cause a change in the natural rate of unemployment. The natural rate of unemployment is a mirror image of what we call the natural rate of output. And so natural rate of output is going to be constant in the long run unless we see shifts in the long run aggregate supply, which come when we have increases in capital or labor. That's going to cause a shift in your long run aggregate supply. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the answer to the Phillips curve question. This one was tough because of this part. And so as soon as we shut this down, we're going to do another example without that expected and anticipated thing to see if we can make sure that we understand this.